the first thing that you need to do, okay, are you video? Okay, the first thing that you need to do when you're making the slab cylinder cup is to determine what size cylinder you're going to be using for that cup. So you're gonna pick a cylinder in the classroom, at home if you wanna bring one in. It could be any size. The only requirement is that this cup needs to be at least 4 inches tall, okay? It could be taller if you want to, but at least 4 inches tall. You could use one of the glaze containers. You can use a rolling pin like I did. Then you're gonna take a newspaper, a piece of newspaper, and you're gonna tape it so that it acts as a release. The clay won't stick to it when we wrap the clay around. But make sure that you don't tape the newspaper to the cylinder. Make sure that you can move it on and off, because when we take the clay off, the newspaper is gonna come with it. So that's the first thing that you need to do. The second thing that you need to do is you need to take some of your clay and you need to roll a slab. Okay, so you're not going to be cutting it like a little piece. You have to cut a little bit of a thicker piece so that you can roll it so that it's long enough that it will wrap around the cylinder that you have chosen. Okay, so after you roll it and you make sure it's nice and flat, okay, very important. The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that this, don't push down because you'll make indentations on it. Just go ahead and make sure that your cylinder is going to be long enough to go around the cylinder that you have chosen, the clay, I mean. Okay, so the next step is you're going to cut off 1/2, because this is going to be the bottom and this is going to be the top, okay? So the first thing you'll do is cut as close as you can to one of the edges, okay? So I'm just going to take my paper clip, make sure that I'm parallel to the ground, and cut off one edge. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to decide how tall I want my cylinder to be. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, well, at the lowest edge I can make it 5.5. So I'm going to make my cup 5.5 inches tall. Okay, so I'm going to mark that twice. I'm going to go from the 0 to the 5.5 and I'm going to mark it. I'm going to come here and go 0 to 5.5 and mark it. Who can tell me why I did it twice? Anybody?
Keep the line straight.
Right, to keep the line straight and parallel with the first line. Very good, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and cut, making sure that I stay on my dots. Okay, you know what a good idea is? I'm on the outside. If I slip, I'm going to go into the material that I'm going to use for the cup. So instead, I'm going to put it on the inside of my dots and I'm going to cut this way. Because if I had made a mistake or slipped, then I would have to roll the slab again, okay? So here's another thing. You cannot, let's just say that my slab wasn't long enough. You can't come over here and add material. You have to roll the whole thing out again, okay? So I'm gonna keep this because maybe I could use this material as a handle. Okay, the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come to where it stops being parallel and I'm going to cut that, okay, so that it's a nice 90-degree angle. Can I borrow your piece of paper? Okay, one way that you can make sure that it's a nice 90-degree angle is to lay a piece of paper on it, like that, so that the paper is perfectly in line with your clay, and then draw that line so that you make sure that it's straight up and down. Thank you. Okay, and then again, I'm gonna cut this. So now at this point, I've only cut 3 sides. You're not gonna cut any more sides, only 3. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm gonna take this clay because I need to know how long it has to be. So I'm gonna take it, I'm not pushing down on the clay, and all I'm gonna do is roll it kind of tight, but make sure that it doesn't press down on the clay, and then I'm gonna mark it. Okay, I'm gonna mark it so it overlaps just a little bit, okay? Some artists, what they do, which is a very good idea, is that they make beveled edges so that those edges go together themselves. And I can show you how to do that. Would you like me to show you how to do that? Okay, so this side, instead of making it straight up and down, I'm gonna come in about 1/2 inch and I'm gonna go to the corner and I'm gonna bevel. That's what we call beveling. that edge. And I really like this ruler because it has 45-degree angles on it. So you see this edge is beveled this way, okay? So if it comes around, this edge needs to be beveled in the same direction. So I'm gonna come out here like this, okay? And it's always best to guesstimate a little bit more clay, okay? But I'm gonna bevel this edge too. And the reason that I like to do that is because then you don't have the overlapping and the little bit of bulkiness that you might have. Okay, so now I'm gonna save this because I'm gonna need it for my bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and score this bevel. I'm gonna lift this and score this bevel. Okay. Then I'm gonna lay it here and I'm gonna take this around and I'm gonna take this up, okay? So that the two bevels, do you see how they meet? Just like that, okay? I am gonna show you one more thing before I do that though. I'm gonna turn it over to the outside. And I might want to do a little bit of decorating before I even put it on there. So I could take this, or I have lots of other stamps, okay? I might just do part of it. I don't even have to do the whole thing, you know? But that kind of made it a little bit uneven, so I'm gonna go ahead. All right, so then I'll flip it back over. Pull this up, I'm gonna add some slip to it. And just press those two beveled edges together like that, okay? Then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm gonna go over to the dryer and I'm gonna go ahead and dry that, so you can stop that video and then we'll